Hello, I'm David Chaston with 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz. This week at Everything You Need to Know in 90 seconds at 9 o'clock, with news of a deeper perspectives of Chinese house buying demand. They haven't pulled back, they've just shifted focus. But first in the US, bank profits are continuing to grow. They rose 10.7% to $48 billion in the second quarter from a year earlier. There is little sign yet that the long-heralded challenge from the tech world and other disintermediators is posing any challenge to modern banks. And the big banks are said to be much less reliant on the type of wholesale funding linkages that helped accentuate the GFC. A new survey by investment bank UBS is casting a different light on Chinese buyer demand in offshore property markets. Their 6-monthly UBS Evidence Lab China Housing Survey doesn't really see demand by customers out of China falling, just shifting. Animal spirits are increasingly behind the re-acceleration in Chinese housing demand, the survey says. Expectations of higher prices were behind 30% of all purchases in the last 12 months, and the reason 2/3 of buyers purchasing earlier than they had planned. Proportion of consumers expecting price declines is at a record low. Higher domestic leverage has also helped fuel housing sales, making credit tightening there more effective than before. Currency risk is an important driver, but not local taxes intended to defer them. Australia and New Zealand are no longer favoured because gains are higher back home and in other markets such as Thailand. But a quarter of Chinese buyers purchase residential property and hold it empty as an investment, and a further 45% buy as an investment that they rent out, so they're unlikely to be affected by higher local surcharges on foreign buyers. Buying for family reasons tends to push financial considerations to the background, the survey says. In Germany, economic sentiment slipped in August. While it's still positive, this slippage comes in the middle of their national election campaign. Mexico, which is in a tough renegotiated NAFTA agreement with the US and Canada, posted its 16th consecutive quarter of economic growth in the June quarter as strong services compensated for a sluggish industrial output. GDP was up 3% year on year. In Malaysia, a planned large bank merger between AMMB and RHB has been called off. This sets back ANZ's opportunity to sell down its 24% stake in AMMB. It's back to the drawing board for ANZ, which has been working to unwind the Mike Smith Asia pivot strategy. And in Australia, their major dairy company released full financial year data yesterday, and that came with a surprise. Murray Goulburn will struggle to maintain its title as Australia's largest, with its milk intake forecast to sit equal with New Zealand-owned Fonterra. Announcing its full-year financial results, they revealed its milk intake had dropped nearly 22% from the previous financial year, down to 2.7 billion litres, and was expected to fall further to just over 2 billion litres, a level Fonterra is expected to jump up to, partly on the back of Murray Goulburn's losses of farmer support. And staying in Australia, the head of their tax office told the parliamentary inquiry that the world's biggest tech companies are now declaring more than $7 billion more in sales in Australia every year, that their new profit-sharing policies are in place, which means that they're paying twice, triple, or even 5 times the amount of tax they were previously. They also announced that Apple had a 5-year audit and that found no flaws. Microsoft, however, has just reached an out-of-court settlement with the ATO, but Google, Facebook and IBM are still in the middle of audits. In New York, the US Treasury 10-year yield is a little higher today at 2.22%. The price of oil is marginally higher at $47.50 a barrel, while the Brent benchmark is at $51.50 a barrel. The price of gold is lower, however, down $5 to $1,286 an ounce, and the Kiwi dollar will start today lower as well at 72.8 US cents. On the cross rates, we're also lower at 92.1 Aussie cents and 62.1 Euro cents. As a result, the TWI is 75.4. I'm David Chaston. That was 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz.